And
game!
Welcome back in, everybody. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy talking sports here.
Game!
Golf, sports,
Game!
and games.
You're supposed to yell back sport, man.
Sport!
Game!
Sport! Losing my voice.
Shooting fireworks over
Yeah.
here. I'm getting bottle rocks tossed at me. Hop, if you and I played and we're planning on coming to see you, we would be playing the game. There's no question about it. We would be playing the game of golf.
Well, I would be watching you and Mike play as I drive the golf cart.
And that might be a sport.
If Mike and I could, we could have a game. You and I could have a game between us.
Hop, will you join us for a sporting good time?
Let's go play a part of our game. You don't want to say, hey, you want to
wear my cat
for a
t-shirts,
sporting
it'll
good
be fun.
time. I like that.
You look very debonair today, Hop.
Miniature golf, sport
With a little
or a
cappy.
game?
What's that?
Miniature golf, boomers.
That's a game.
So okay, but if it
It's
was
a measure of skill.
yes,
It's
it
physical
is
exertion.
absolutely.
It is, but I think when you go to golf,
There's world champion miniature golfers. You know,
there is.
They play a sport. Those
It
guys.
is.
So golf can
But
be a
then
sport.
you're talking about this is the same thing as golf. Yes, you're talking about if you and I go play miniature golf together, it's probably a game. If we get into a tournament,
the words right, then it becomes,
a sport.
So golf can become a sport, no question about it.
Right.
So the answer is both, mostly game. So,
it depends on the individual.
and again, that's strictly my
So
opinion.
there's a measure of money involved in whether it's called a sport or a game.
Oh no,
or
we
not?
could have a big money game. I mean, Mike and I, we played for money before. We talked last week about money game. I don't know. Does it make it a team when it becomes a sport? Like Ryder Cup is a sport, right?
Right.
Or and if you're playing, two ball, you and I against two others. I don't know if that's a game. That's just a game. So that's a Nassau game. But there's a whole book of different games you can play in the sport of golf.
I think just talking about this more and more, it's a blend of a game and a sport. Again, you take
Yes, I believe that.
yeah,
you just take, and that's what makes it so amazing.
mostly game.
It's crazy.
If you play it to have fun, it's more of a game. If you're playing it seriously, now that becomes the sport of the game, right? Where you really take it on, or play collegiate. Like when it comes to tournament situations, definitely a sport. If it's tournament, I 100% believe it's a sport.
Right.
100% believe that.
It's a game with an option to become a sport.
Yeah, nice, Mike. Write that down. That's the official
You have the player
standing
has
of GTR.
the player has the option.
And I know there's people in Bakersfield thinking one way or the other. But
Phone number here, 805-903-1974 if you want to chime in, 805-903-1974. This morning when I was pulling together, just kind of reviewing some things for the show, which I commonly do. I either am up late Friday night or
With the dog.
early Friday, or early Saturday morning, which I was this morning. And I came across an article titled "Keeping Your Eye on the Ball." Now, this was a study that was done 7 years ago, so I'm sure some of it has changed. But they said that researchers in England had set out to determine whether weekend golfers would improve their game through one of two approaches. Some were coached on individual swing technique, while others were instructed to gaze fixedly at the ball before putting. The researchers hope to learn not only whether or not looking at the ball affects performance, but also whether how we look at the ball changes how we think and feel while we're in action of making the swing. What they've done after the researchers did all this is they had 40 duffers practice this putting technique, while the other half of another 40 would receive instruction on gazing at certain spots on the golf ball called quiet eye training.
Are they all duffers? All 80 of these?
All
people?
80 of them are duffers.
And what do you define duffer? Does it define it, or is it we just
It doesn't define
So
it.
an average player.
Probably, yeah. Okay. They're more recreational, is what. So here we are back again.
So
This kind of
these are gamers.
These are gamers.
Okay.
So quiet eye training, as the name suggests, is an attempt to get people to stop flicking their focus around so much. But quiet eye training is not just about looking at the ball. Mark Wilson, the study and the publisher or psychotherapist on it, he's a senior lecturer in human movement and science at the University of Exeter in England. He's like, it's all about looking at the ball for long enough to process the aiming information. So what they have found out through
Shoemaker does that.
through this study is that when we're younger as kids, we tend to have quieter eyes. As we become adults, our eyes, yeah, see, your eyes just did that
Some
thing.
Manson eyes.
Yeah, that was that was a Manson,
Did you
like,
I just woke my eyes up. Man. Wow, Doc, I'm sorry.
that was a little, that was a little William Shatner right there. Billy.
Sorry, man.
No, that's okay.
Who are you?
Yeah, so,
I just had a deep. Wow. Did
So-
my head spin around? It felt like it spun around.
so what's happening is they found out as you become an adult, your eyes actually have a really hard time being quiet. That's a Donald Trump right there.
Oh, God.
Dude, that was a Donald
Oh,
Trump.
sorry
What you just did with your
Oh,
eyes.
I'll never do it again. I'm blind. My eyes.
So what they did in this quiet eye training is they had them look at the ball long enough to process the aiming information, and this involved reminding players to briefly sight toward the exact spot where they wanted to send the ball, and then look back onto the ball and hold the eyes there after they did that once.
Quiet eyes.
Those are quiet eyes. So a quiet, focused eye, in other words, seemed to encourage a quiet, focused mind, which then resulted in more accurate putting.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was fascinating because if you think about all of our phones and you think about the TV and you think about the iPads and you think about how quickly people are swiping and texting at all those things, and then they've done that, say, all morning, and then they go try to play a game of golf.
Their mind and eyes are not quiet.
No,
I got it.
never.
Do you know to add? Can I add to that a little
Yeah.
bit? And it's not me. It's a Fred Shoemaker drill, and it's one of the best putting drills that I also introduced to some of the students I work with.
Yeah.
Don't take credit for it, but it's the same principle, Mike. And I think I remember I used to teach looking at the hole, not the ball,
Yeah.
for distance. But Fred Shoemaker, if you focus on that, what'd you call it? He said you focus on one dimple. What did you call it?
I don't know.
A specific little spot on the ball.
Yeah, spot up.
Right?
Yeah, fixate on a
and if
dimple
you
on
guys,
the ball.
if you're listening right now and you
Yeah.
go to putting green and try this, if you sit there and you focus and you get your eyes really focused quietly on that one dimple, and you strike the ball, you will see the silhouette of where the ball sat on the green. It's like a little shadow or a shade mark. It's kind of like when you look up into the lights and you turn back and you see that little spot in your eyes.
Yeah.
You'll see that where the ball was, like a burn mark on the
Right.
green once the ball leaves. That means your entire attention was on that, and so it's like a photograph taking of it, and it
Wow.
leaves the negative of the ball.
That is
Now, if your
really
eyes are
cool.
alive and your mind isn't focused
Right.
enough, you'll hit the ball and you'll never see that spot. And everybody ever taught it to is, I don't see it, so keep trying. Then, oh, there it is. Oh my God, yeah, there it is.
Wow.
And those results were better, especially if they had a clear picture of how the force they're going to hit it for distance response. But you should try it, Mike. So you just get your ball, you have a 10-footer, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so you look at your distance and you look back at the ball and you focus really hard, or not hard's the wrong word. Quietly is the better word, because he said you got to just relax and focus on
That's
that
what they
dimple.
say here, too.
And
the
then
quiet
when you
eyes.
strike the ball, the silhouette of where the ball sat, and as soon as you recognize it, it'll disappear because your brain starts to think about it and it's gone. But if you look for, and if you can stay relaxed for 2 or 3 seconds, it will stay there for 2 or 3 seconds. It's amazing. And that's how he makes little putts. If you combine that focus of those quiet eyes and stillness, by the way, if your head moves, you don't see it.
Right.
Right. So trying to keep the head still on little putts is crucial. He came up out of it, or he moved out of it, and all that. That will keep your head still, because you'll never see it if your head moves or your hips are coming up out of it,
Yeah.
or shoulder. If you look for it, it's the exact same principle as what this guy just said, and it's one of the best putting tips that I've ever shared with anybody. So have you tried it?
That's really cool. I've seen that before. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about,
So-
and I've seen that before.
So people listening now, go to the putting green later whenever you can, and just remember, stare at the golf ball, get your eyes quiet on a single dimple. It's better if it's the sun is hitting it, you can see the shiny dimple in the top.
Yeah.
You know, the reflection. It still works if it's not, the sun isn't out, but if it is out, they'll always have that shiny dimple.
Right.
And you stare at that putt, and you'll see the silhouette of the ball in the grass. Your head did not move, and you had those quiet eyes they were talking about.
So there's another quote from this article from Dr. Wilson. It says, Dr. Wilson says, after having extensively studying just how the best golfers look, he now teaches novice golfers at his lab to keep their gaze on the back of the ball, which is the contact point for the putter, for a brief period before starting the putting action. He said long enough to, for instance, say the back of the cup to themselves. So like what he'll do, they'll look at the back of the ball, and they'll say the back of the cup, and then they start the stroke. And here's this is so fascinating to me. Talk about a circle.
Which is a cup.
So
Circle.
this is trippy. This trips me
And
out.
the ball is a circle.
Yeah, and I'm probably going way too deep here. But on my social media,
Yep.
a picture that came up today was when you and I played Green Hills Country Club in San Mateo, and it's Alistair McKenzie designed golf course. It's a private place, so it's really hard to get to.
Fun day.
But I remember the first 2 or 3 holes we played there, like I'm hitting the greens and I 3 and 4 putted. And I'm thinking, I can't keep doing this. I got to change something, right? Because I'm not going to play another 16 holes putting like that. And so I thought to myself,
your game.
yeah, I thought, what can I do? And so one of the things that he mentioned right there, right before I would start my stroke, I had a vision of the ball like rolling off the edge of the cup and into the hole.
Wow, not
and I could hear, and then I would hear the ball like hit the bottom of the cup.
What's that?
And it totally changed my putting the rest of that round. I putted great. And so it's so interesting.
Always putt great.
No, but it's so interesting how they mentioned that, and then the picture came up today,
cool.
and that was the picture that came up was that round.
See that? So cool.
It's weird.
Yeah, see, there's
It's a deep universe.
It's a very deep, deep universe.
Can you give me that William Shatner look again?
I'm not going to give you the Trump look again. That's awful. I just try to liven up my eyes, man. So
quiet the eyes.
Quiet the eye, but and focus. 2 focuses, right?
Yeah.
So you're quieting your eye, but you're focused. You're not like you say. You're swiping and you're leaning and you're thinking back. And my brain is, you know me well enough. It's not the most quiet brain going on inside
Mine's
me.
not either when I'm at work.
So for me, but I believe I'm a pretty darn good putter. But I've learned how to quiet at that moment.
Yeah.
You know, with a couple breathing things and stuff, but because it's only a few seconds of my life, I think I can do this, right? But you have to,
right?
But and I don't practice that silhouette, that drill that Fred Shoemaker. By the way, it's The Art of Putting or something is the name of his book. Yeah, something like that. Not The Art of Putting. I'll think of it in a minute. Dang it, he's great. It's the greatest book. But anyways, I wish I did because I always putt better when I do it.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were in Vegas? I think it was 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, we went to the Vegas show for the PGA, and the gal, one of the LPGA pros there, had those glasses, and she had a laser that was built into the center of the rim. And so the red laser dot, when you went over the golf ball, should be on top of the golf ball because you're wearing the glasses. So that totally helped me when we were putting with those glasses on. I realized, like, wow, as soon as I strike the ball, my head is kind of moving forward because I think I was peeking looking upward. So one of the drills that I'll do for myself when I'm practicing is I'll imagine I'll see a red dot on top of my ball. And then when that ball leaves, I should see that red dot on the ground right underneath where the ball was.
Same exact theory, buddy.
And that's when I putt my best.
By the way, it's called Extraordinary Putting by Fred Shoemaker.
Oh.
And he did Extraordinary Golf, too.
It's not perfect putting?
No. It's called Extraordinary Putting.
It's not almost good putting?
And it's the art of impossible. So it's not almost good putting.
No.
It's not, hit a better putt.
Yeah.
It's not, putt to win.
It's not.
It's not putt up or shut up.
It's not I'm a good putter.
It's not putt up or shut up.
Putt up or shut up.
It's not putt for dough. It's called Extraordinary Putting, and it's pretty good. But anyways, it's the same thing.
Extraordinary or extraordinary?
It's extraordinary, extraordinary. It's a game.
When you're practicing.
So, but it's very interesting because more and more are saying the same thing. You and your laser, if you use a really laser, you could cut off your toes, like
well, that would be cool.
Etch, slice the ball in half, right? Your little pack on your side that.
I would love to be able to give somebody those glasses and I could control the intensity of the laser. And I'm like, okay, here's what I want you to do.
Ball starts smoking.
I want you to just look at the ball, put the laser on there, and they're like looking. I'm like, you got to hold it there for 15 seconds. And then it turn up the dial.
Magnifying glass.
Yeah, turn up the dial. A little bit of smoke starts coming off the ball.
As soon as you start smelling the smoke, putt. Nice, man.
That would be awesome.
So, thank you for the putting tip because I think it's kind of incredible. If you watch some of the greatest putters and their heads stay so still and their eyes stay still till the ball is out of peripheral vision, and then the eyes will track up. So if you look carefully, almost everybody watches people putt. They look at the ball and they watch the ball leave the face. Well, us coaches are trained to look at different parts of the body and the eyes.
Right.
But if you look at the good players putting eyes, it's unbelievable. If they focus on their eyes, the ball leaves, the eyes don't move. And then maybe you can pick it up when it's 2 or 3 feet away, and their eyes will track before the head comes up.
Right.
But Tiger was always the best at that.
You won't see it because they don't usually do that with on TV when they're filming the guys putting. But oftentimes, and I saw it during the BMW a couple weeks ago, they showed Rory, and after what they did is they focused in on his face instead of down at the swing of the ball. And so you could see it, you could see his motion, you could see his arms and everything release through, but his eyes and his head are still right over the position he set up over on. It would be so cool, because I always try to visualize, when they show guys putting, they always show it from up top, usually.
Yeah, or from a tower.
Camera. You get the sense of how still their body is in their head, and their access points really still.
Their eyes. Man.
Yeah, I would love to see him do that.
And they think they probably should. And you're right. I saw that video with Rory. And granted, it's milliseconds.
Yeah.
But that ball, his arms are past him. The club is higher, almost shoulders high in the follow through before his eyes move.
Yeah.
And so, he's swinging pretty quick, but his eyes don't move. And so when you're coming out of your golf swing or something, your eyes are moving before. But Annika, her eyes moved.
Yeah, well, her head
came up. Same with David Duval.
Right.
So there are exceptions. They were both good sportsmen. Played a great game.
Yeah, they did.
they were top of their sport.
They were.
So I don't know if we need a break, but there's similarities with NFL football. It's here, man. It's tomorrow. It's Thursday night. It's here. The game on. Are you ready for some football?
What a dud of a game Thursday night.
I didn't get to see any of it.
I watched 8 minutes. I couldn't stand it anymore. I can't watch this.
Like the Super Bowl?
Oh, 7-3.
The last Super Bowl was not exciting, but it was great because I had 3-3.
Well, that worked.
That worked out well. So Josie and I did well. We were at a hotel in Palm Springs watching the game.
Man, you're going nuts.
3-3. Differences and similarities between golf and football when we come back. And also, who are the best football player golfers?
Very cool. So thank you, McPhee's Grill Templeton, for partnering with us here on Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. Check out the macadamia-encrusted halibut. Don't forget that they have their own butcher shop and Ian's famous barbecue sauce. Give them a call at 805-434-3204. That's 805-434-3204. Or McPhee'sGrill.com to see the menu online. Actually make reservations there as well. We'll be right back. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy.